Southwest Washington has neighborhoods that look like slam dunk deals online. You gotta think, we have great schools, newer homes, clean streets, and they often get labeled as a safe, long-term type of investment. But here's what a lot of relocating buyers don't realize until after they close. Now, some of these areas do come with a premium that doesn't always come back to you in daily life. Now, what I'm talking about are things like flexibility or real long-term value. In this video, I'm breaking down 5 Southwest Washington neighborhoods buyers seem to commonly overpay in these places, and it usually happens for 3 different reasons. First reason, you're paying for the name, the school boundary, or maybe some recent hype that it has. Secondly, the real costs show up after you move in, and I'm talking about the commute times, the taxes, the HOAs, and the overall lifestyle trade-offs. And third, there are nearby alternatives that feel almost the same day to day without tying up as much of your budget. I'm Hayden Humphrey, a Southwest Washington real estate agent. I help people relocate here seemingly every single week. And my job is to make sure that your money goes into the right neighborhood and not just the one that looks best on paper or maybe the one that seems to get recommended most online. Now let's start with one of the most commonly suggested areas. It feels like a safe choice, but it's also one of the easiest places to overpay if you don't compare it correctly. And this first area is Camas. Now we've all heard a lot about Camas. Now Camas is one of the first places that relocating buyers hear about, and here's why people seem to overpay. Now the school district reputation drives a lot of demand, and a lot of buyers anchor on that first. And then after that, they stop comparing. They go, oh, Camas schools, we gotta be there. Now, newer planned neighborhoods create this feeling that everything here is somewhat like future-proof. So the prices get higher and higher and higher. And that's when the house itself really stops delivering what you initially wanted. And because inventory is tight at the upper end, all these out-of-state buyers often feel rushed, and then they sometimes bid emotionally to lock in what feels like a safe choice because of said school district. Now, here's where expectations break. The commute reality sets in and surprises people, and once daily routines kick in, that drive into Portland is longer and might be a little less flexible than what you initially expected, and you're often paying more for the zip code than the lot size, the layout, or the overall finishes inside the house. And appreciation really isn't automatic. Some streets perform great, while others hit kind of that affordability ceiling and stall out, and prices don't get much higher than that. Now, Camas is a great fit if you specifically want the school district, plan to stay long-term, and are comfortable paying a premium for that stability. But it's not ideal if you are stretching your budget, assuming Camas always equals appreciation. Now, a better alternative for a lot of buyers is East Vancouver in the right pockets. You often get similar home sizes, newer construction, and kind of a similar suburban feel without all that pricing pressure tied to one school boundary, this Camas School District. And because the buyer pool is a little bit broader, you usually get more flexibility long-term. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, Camas isn't overpriced across the entire board, but buyers overpay when they assume that the name alone guarantees lifestyle and resale upside. And when you compare street by street, East Vancouver can definitely deliver nearly the same day-to-day experiences without maxing out your budget. And next up is an area buyers love for the newer homes, the clean layouts, but it's also where price per square foot can quietly get ahead of itself. And this area I'm talking about is the wonderful Ridgefield. I absolutely love Ridgefield, and Ridgefield feels like growth. We have brand new homes, we have master plan communities that create a strong type of get in early type of mindset. I've noticed a lot of people that I know personally, and they say, I want to live in Ridgefield before the big boom hits. And because of this, I think buyers are paying premium because new feels like better value for them. But that price per square foot I was talking about, it often seems to jump quickly. And out of area buyers also compare Ridgefield to smaller Oregon suburbs or maybe California suburbs without fully adjusting for commute and the daily logistics that Ridgefield has to offer. Now, here's where expectations seem to break in Ridgefield. That I-5 exit that goes into Ridgefield, also known as Pioneer Street, that is the main corridor. You know, you get there to go to the In-N-Out, you get there basically to get to downtown Ridgefield. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of development. On the right side of I-5, you have all this new industrial development. You have the Clark College satellite campus that just got put in, all sorts of industrial. And then if you want to cross the bridge, go over the bridge, obviously we have the Costco over there, and we have what people think of as Ridgefield, right? And sometimes, especially during rush hours, really can get congested, where you're taking the exit and you're seeming to just sit in traffic. And then you finally make it to the light and you're just seeing a pile of cars and everything starts to pile up. And if you're trying to be quick or make a quicker commute, that can definitely be irritating on the day-to-day. Now, speaking of all that growth, Ridgefield itself has a ton of new construction options. There are so many new builders in Ridgefield, it's crazy. And there's a lot of inventory right now that is seeming to just be sitting on the market day after day, month after month. Now, making up a lot of that inventory are those first-time resale homes in Ridgefield. Maybe the sellers purchased it 5-6 years ago. There's probably a good chance because a lot of those developments started, I would say 6-7 years ago. You know, I remember 2019, 2020, there was so much going on in Ridgefield. New construction here, new construction community here. Now, a lot of those people right now, if you are selling, maybe your home is 5-6 years old, you are competing against the new construction homes that are for sale right now, and there's a lot of them. And oftentimes, they're still, the same builder is still in a different phase. Maybe it's phase 7, 8, 9, 10 in the same neighborhood that you own in. And here's a little tip for people relocating here. If you are looking at new construction, what I like to do, and I've actually done this for many different buyers, is find the last lot or one of the last homes for sale in the new construction community. Usually the builder is ready to dump those, move on to something else, and therefore they're probably going to give some great incentives and get you a better deal overall than all these other buyers that came in earlier than you. And in Ridgefield, I feel like you're often paying more for newness than for location. And that premium doesn't always hold once inventory increases. And those homes, like I said earlier, they start to age. And some subdivisions, to be honest with you, also feel a little bit isolated early on with fewer services, fewer dining options, etc., than buyers seem to expect. Now, Ridgefield, it works well if you do prioritize newer homes, that quiet suburban living, and don't need that daily Portland access. But no, it's not ideal if you assume newer automatically means a better investment. Now, a better alternative for many buyers is Salmon Creek or Felida. Here's the thing, you get similar home sizes, you get more established neighborhoods, you get better access to services in Vancouver, and you get easier freeway connectivity. And that usually means steadier resale demand long term. But here's the deal, Ridgefield can make sense, but buyers often overpay when they treat new construction as automatic value. Now, when you factor things in like drive time and resale flexibility, established areas often deliver a more balanced long-term equation. It's been there, done that, so to say. Now, speaking of Felida, let's now talk about an area people stretch for because it feels quiet and upscale, but sometimes the premium doesn't always match the everyday lifestyle. And what we're talking about is Felida, and more so the upper price pockets in Felida. And Felida, if you don't know, it's over in Salmon Creek, and it has a really good reputation. It's quiet, established, there's upscale suburban living, and buyers assume every home here deserves a premium. Now in Felida, we constantly see larger homes on calmer streets that create that sense of exclusivity, and even when the house itself hasn't been meaningfully updated. And in Felida, I constantly hear buyers talking about that West Side Sunset. I've seen it before and it is beautiful. Now, buyers coming from denser cities often overvalue the space and the calm without comparing nearby options. But here's the truth about Felida. Many homes here are older and need updates, but the pricing doesn't always seem to reflect that. You're often paying more for a neighborhood feel than for convenience, and prices can grow slower than you'd expect. Now, who does Felida work for? I personally think it works for the buyers who value kind of the quiet streets and plan to stay there long term. And it's definitely not ideal if you want like a modern finish, the turnkey homes, or rapid appreciation based on the name alone. Now, a strong alternative to Felida is Salmon Creek, different parts of Salmon Creek, I should say. You often get similar home sizes with more realistic pricing for the condition. You get better access to shopping and healthcare, and overall a smoother resale when it comes time to sell. Now, talking about Salmon Creek, I really like the east side of Salmon Creek. It has the WSU Vancouver campus, and it kind of feels like the rolling hill type. Now, there's some nice neighborhoods in there, and it really hits a lot of bullet points for many different buyers I've sold homes to. Now, a place over in Eastside Salmon Creek, you still get the big lot and a lot of the same perks as Felida without paying a premium price. Now, you heard me say Washington State University, Vancouver, and you're maybe wondering like, wow, I didn't know there was a college over in Salmon Creek. Yeah, there is. And if you are in a position where you're thinking about making a move here, you're wanting to know more specific information like that could determine where you're gonna move, you're definitely welcome to download my relocation guide. It has a ton of information about all the areas, Battleground, Camas, Washougal, Vancouver, all the way up to Woodland. Now, my wife and I, we worked really hard on this thing, and it's chock full of useful information like that. And if you are thinking of maybe making a move here, you're not fully committed, you are definitely welcome to download it here below. Or maybe you're a little bit more urgent and you'd like to schedule a one-on-one call with me, you're welcome to book that. You can call me, text me, or email me. All my information is below. Now, Philida is a great area. I don't want to be dogging on it, but buyers overpay when they assume that reputation automatically equals value. And when you compare condition, access, or things like the overall resale dynamics, Salmon Creek can deliver much of the same lifestyle with fewer financial trade-offs. Now, this next one pulls people in with views and privacy, but that uniqueness can push prices past what the market consistently supports. Now, this area I'm talking about is Washougal. Listen, the views, they're great. There's river views, there's mountain views, and they sometimes create that strong emotional pull. And I mean, obviously stepping out on your balcony, seeing a mountain, it's pretty darn cool. But buyers pay a premium for scenery without fully thinking it through sometimes, thinking through things like the daily usability and the overall access of where you're living. Now, custom homes, they feel unique, and that can sometimes detach pricing from the true market comps, how much something's actually worth. And many buyers assume Washougal is just Camas, but it's cheaper. And that's not true. And here's where the expectations can break. The commute sometimes can be tricky. You have fewer routes in and out, and sometimes that can turn into small traffic issues and sometimes big delays. Now, some of these have view lots, yard space, walkability for elevation, and other things like that. And overall, the resale demand narrows at those higher price points. Now, Washougal, it works best if you truly value the views and that privacy, and you don't really need that daily access to Portland. And it's certainly not ideal if you want walkability, you want the quick freeway access, or maximum resale flexibility. Now, I would say a better alternative for many buyers is over in East Camas, outside the hillside pockets. Now, over here, you get flatter lots, sometimes newer homes, and easier access to services, and then kind of your commuting routes are a little bit more common. And you have a broader buyer pool because you have a Camas address. Now, Washougal, it can be incredible, but buyers overpay when the view premium outweighs that daily convenience. And to be honest, if the scenery isn't something you'll appreciate every single day, the flatter and more connected areas often make more sense financially. Now, I see this time and time again for that specific buyer that really wants a nice view. And every time you show up and there is a spectacular view, not hating on view properties, but here's the reality. Usually they're outside, really, pretty far from your daily conveniences. And most of the time, sellers are asking an absolute premium for something with a view. Now, you got to ask yourself, if you are one of those buyers looking for a view property, you got to think, is this worth it to go higher, maybe stretch your budget a little bit to have that view property? And is it worth it to be outside of those daily conveniences that we all seem to love? Now, this last one is popular because it feels central and established, but that same demand can quietly inflate prices. And what I'm talking about is downtown Vancouver, the Arnada neighborhood, and the Lincoln neighborhood. Now, with these neighborhoods, it's a central location and it drives strong emotional demand. Now, listen, we have the waterfront development in Vancouver, we have historic charm, walkability, so many things going for it. And those things are heavily marketed. So in turn with that, buyers seem to stretch often for smaller homes or older properties, and many anchor on future appreciation instead of their current livability and what's actually realistic. Now, here's the truth about downtown Vancouver. The older homes mean higher maintenance, renovation costs, and potentially insurance considerations. And their street-by-street differences definitely matter more than buyers expect. Things like noise, parking, and just your daily conveniences for the property matter a lot. Now, some buyers realize they paid for location and branding more than the square footage or the condition of the property. Now, a lot of these older homes that we find in downtown Vancouver are in fact old. I've walked through many homes down in this area that are 100 years older or more. And a lot of them seem to be like that cottage style. Maybe you don't have a garage, maybe the layout's a little bit funky. One thing my wife and I laugh about is walking through these really old homes and just seeing the smallest little staircase, like trying to fit my shoulders in. And the first thing I think about is, well, how are we going to fit our bed frame? How are we going to fit our furniture upstairs? Now in this area, new construction is very limited. It's very rare for something new to pop up in this area. Modern homes and kind of the modern conveniences that we have, like things like a kitchen island, something that's pretty usual and pretty common around the area, but depending on the layout, it might be tough to find what you're looking for here. Now, this area, it works best if you value things like walkability or maybe the character and you're kind of comfortable with the older homes and that type of lifestyle. And it's not ideal if you want something that's turnkey, you want low maintenance living, or maybe more space for the money. Now, the better alternative are neighborhoods that are nearby to this, like Carter Park or the edge of Vancouver Heights. Now, you often get larger homes, sometimes better condition and easier parking while staying close to the downtown buzz. Now, downtown Vancouver is exciting, and buyers overpay when they assume that the location, it outweighs the condition and the livability. Now, step just a few minutes outside of that downtown core, and you can often get more home, less risk, and a better long-term flexibility. All right, everybody, overpriced, it doesn't mean bad. It means that you're paying for a premium that doesn't always seem to come back to you in things like daily lifestyle, flexibility, or overall resale strength. Now, in Vancouver and Southwest Washington as a whole, that usually happens when buyers focus on names, school boundaries, views, or future hype, instead of things like commute reality, total monthly costs, and how broad the buyer pool is when it is time to sell. I'm Hayden Humphrey. I help people relocate to Southwest Washington with clarity and not hype. And if you're thinking about buying here and want help with comparing neighborhoods based on real value and livability, you're definitely welcome to reach out. You can reach out using the link below, or give me a call, shoot me a text or an email, and I will help you find the right fit without overpaying for the name on the map. This can be over a phone call, maybe 5-10 minutes, pop me a few questions, or I'm even down to hop on a Zoom video call to literally pull up a map and go over specific questions that you have, depending on the area. Now, what I take a lot of pride in is getting a good feel for you, your lifestyle, your budget, the things that you like to do. And I love fitting all those different little puzzle pieces together to give you the best possible outcome if you end up making a move here to Southwest Washington. I've been here the last 25 years of my life, and I'm happy to share everything I know with you. Thank you for watching.